Race 12 is the Tepin Stakes. It's ungraded at 250,000, running a mile on the turf for 3-year-old fillies, and this is the sixth leg of the Derby City 6. And stay tuned at the end of it because we'll have the full Derby City 6 ticket for you. We take a look at this field, and to me, this is a pretty wide open race. You've got a couple of imports, Pipsy and Voodoo Magic. Voodoo Magic's already run in the States, but has been taken over by Cherie DeVoe. So I consider a bit of a transplant here. Mofox Given, we've seen a time or two in the States races for the 3-year-olds, as well as Dancing in Dixie. But it's in poolside with Slim as well. But really, this is, to me, about as wide open a race as you can get. We'll take a look at the field, and we have a field of 11. There's no confirmed front runner, but I'm going to gamble that it's probably going to be poolside Slim with Slim. Generally runs on the front end. This one is the first effort off the bench was pretty good, and looks to move forward second off the layoff. This one does have some nice early lick. Not always there at the end, though. And the one advantage I would say is that the horses that will likely give pressure, namely Dozen Diamonds or probably Pipsy. Pipsy just broke slow in her last race. Runs in races prior to that, she's more forwardly placed. We'll probably get this, Poolside Slim would likely try to slow it down a little bit, but I think it's going to be very difficult still. This one does have quality, and with a move forward, could very well be dangerous here, particularly if they let Dozen Diamonds get the lead, so Poolside with Slim can just rate right off. This is a horse who's pretty good, so I think is worth considering. But again, this is a pretty wide open race. Just better, I like in this race. If you I'm looking for value. I think you have to find it here. You're getting just better on the morning line at 12 to 1. In the Hillside Stakes last time at Pimlico, she ran a very good, very solid race, rating just off the pace. Took command at the top of the stretch. Now, she was run down by She Feels Pretty. And if She Feels Pretty was in this race, she would be a pretty significant favorite, I think. That's a very quality horse. Just better was just no match. But that's okay because now moving forward, third off the layoff, I think this one is poised to take another step forward. And with that being tactically forwardly placed, should be in good position. And again, looking for value, I think Just Better makes a lot of sense. Now, there are a couple others that are worth mentioning. Simply in Front was running in a Grade 1 race in her second lifetime start in the Natalma in Canada. And she also lost to She Feels Pretty. This one has been improving steadily and coming off the bench at 3. Just ran the race prior to her last was a pretty good effort off the bench, but then second off in her last in an optional claimer, ran a really solid race and was on Lasix. That's the only qualifier, and I'd be interested in putting Simply in Front on top, but for the fact that she did run on Lasix. Ran her career high with another move forward. She's definitely in the mix here. Sitting about mid-pack. Might be a little too far back. Might have to be a little more forwardly placed to factor. But I think Simply in Front makes a lot of sense here. Voodoo Magic is a real wild card, but I think you have to include Cherie DeVoe is 30% first time with a horse. This one in overseas was a pretty effective horse. Had some pretty good efforts and did carry some weight, which I always like to see. Her debut in the States was not good, but hey, maybe we can give her a pass for just coming first time into a new environment. Again, we're counting on Cherie DeVoe doing what she does well, and if that's the case, I think you have to include Voodoo Magic in a field, again, that is pretty wide open for the price. Not quite ready to take her on top, but I think you have to use in the mix for sure. Now we come to the later runners, and I'll talk about Pipsy first. Pipsy just broke terribly in her last start, but made up a ton of ground and closed with a flourish to win a 6 furlong race. And I think that speaks to her quality. She's yet to go around 2 turns, but I think that she should be able to handle it. Just displaying that kind of turn of foot has to make her a serious player here. I don't think she will be a late runner. I did watch a prior race to the last one, and she broke fine on synthetic, so I don't think that's going to be an issue, and that would likely put her up amongst the leaders early on, and so consequently should be in a good position. Needs to move forward, but I think all signs indicate that that's probably going to happen, so Pipsy is certainly one to consider. Now we look at the next two, the closers, Mo Fox Given and Dancing in Dixie. Dancing in Dixie just always has too much to do late. That's really what it comes down to, and I'm just not confident putting a horse like that on top in this race. However, I think you can comfortably use underneath. She'll be coming late, but probably it'll be the cavalry, too little, too late. But is one to consider. Mo Fox Given, I think, is really interesting. If you look at her past performances, she started her career in California where the turf is a lot firmer and had mixed results. She had some okay efforts. But her last two, she paired 92 Brisnet figures. Now, granted, they were on yielding and good turf, but I think the key is that there was more cut to the ground and it was a little softer, and I think that's what this horse wants. So now on firmer turf that isn't as hard as Santa Anita, I think this horse probably is in the catbird seat in a really on a surface that's preferable to her. And if you consider that she's running, has run pretty competitive numbers on a surface that she didn't like, then I think that Mo Fox Given makes a lot of sense here. I'm not sure about a late runner at a mile in with this type of field and the way the race shape sets up, but I think Mo Fox Given is a horse you certainly have to consider. So we'll take a look at our wagering strategy, and again, for the value, I stress for the value, I'm going with Just Better. I think she makes a lot of sense here. I think she's got a pattern of progression that makes sense, and at 12 to 1, I think that's an awesome price. So we're going to go with Just Better. We're going to key her at an exacta with 1, 4, 5, and 8. And then we'll do a trifecta with 11 on top with 1, 4, 5, 8, with 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9. And if we can get a price commensurate with 12 to 1 in this field, we're looking at a really nice payday. So we can roll the dice a little bit for this one. I think it warrants it for sure. Now, if we look at our Derby City 6, now I encourage you to go back and take a look at the other 5 legs where I did individual postings for all of them, and that'll give you some in-depth analysis. Looking at this ticket, you'll notice there's some numbers in blue. Those are my primary selections. So if you want to put in a small ticket and then just spread on the last leg, I certainly could see doing that. It's only a 20-cent wager, so it encourages you to spread. I think you have to in the last leg, but in leg 1 in the Wise Dan, I think it's Ottoman Fleet's Race to Lose, but I think you can Chasing the Crown and Win for the Money are a couple that are interesting that you might want to throw in the mix. I really like Scylla in the Fleur de Lis. I think she's just head and shoulders. This is a horse on the rise, and it's looking like a horse that's going to turn into a grade 1 star. So I'm going to single there. Leg 3, we're going to use World War I and Birdie, beautiful Birdie, whatever the hell her name is. I'm sorry, I can't think at this point. But I think that's another race that requires a bit of spreading and some value. I really like Beautiful Birdie or Birdie, something Birdie, Brilliant Birdie, number 8 for the price. But I think First World War is the next logical. Either one of those makes a lot of sense. And then in the Kelly's Landing, I like Hoist the Gold a lot. But also I think we need to include the 1 and 7 as well as sort of backups to it. And then in the Stephen Foster, I think it's First Mission's Race to Lose. But you can't ignore Disarm. I think it makes a lot of sense here. Those are my primary two, but Skippy Long Stocking I think we have to throw in the mix as well. And then in the final leg in the Tepin, like I said, I think this is a total spread race, and it's a head scratcher to a degree. So I'm going to spread with 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, and 11. So that's a $129.60 ticket on a 20-cent base. And again, if you're working with a budget and you want to go smaller on the scale, that's where those blue highlighted numbers, you can make a smaller ticket if you just want to take a fling and roll the dice. But I highly encourage you to spread in the Tepin Stakes here. I think that's a really wide open race. So it does make for what is, I consider to be fairly chalky on the top. But if we can get the 11 home in leg 12, then it turns out to be a pretty decent payday. So I hope this helps you with your own analysis. Go back and take a look at those individual postings for more in-depth analysis of the first 5 legs, and I wish you the best of luck.